is going to he's a show listener and he wants to give away a button box, so we're going to do that for the Clash winner. The Push to Talk NASCAR one.
Three, two. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, David Hall.
Yep.
Greg Hectus.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Bobby Jonas.
Oh, we're finally back racing here in Daytona.
Back to season, Brad Wren.
Hey, everybody.
Donnie Spiker.
Good afternoon, fellas.
And William Westbrook.
Hello, everybody.
On today's show, we review the Coke Series Clash, see more drama from Max, more to sim to reality, see which sim racing company came to the aid of an iRacer, should you buy a throttle active pedal, and discuss the iRacing 2025 series surprises that were announced this week.
That's right. Remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
For our first video, we have a slow motion video of a Daytona 24 posted by iRacing.
Kind of cool, I thought. It's I put it up on the big TV. I've been using my Apple TV, so it's real easy to send from my phone to the TV, and this is really neat to watch. I think I kind of like the ASMR video they did a while back, which I think I still have in my favorites.
All right, but I have an issue. This is supposed to be Daytona 24 in slow motion. But when you get to 43 seconds where it turns 6 and everything is sped up.
No, the clouds are moving kind of slow.
Yeah, the environment's in slow motion.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It's a slow motion time lapse.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Well, look, it's got that fancy stuff like where the background's out of focus, but the main car isn't. Those kind of tricks.
You mean the normal camera things you can do with depth of field and stuff?
It looks sharp. I mean, when you watch this, it's hard to tell that it's a simulated environment. It looks like a real car.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good video. And they must have done it during the 7 a.m. time slot because there's a bunch of rain.
That's right. That's the first thing I thought.
Well, the real 24 was basically just like our version of the 24. No rain at all. It was cold the first night. All right, we've got some NIS all-time stats, and the first thing you might just see is there's like a whole lot of Garrett Mains, and then everybody else with like one championship.
He has dominated NIS. I mean, we need to give him a props for sure. He's won the most points overall, but he's only been around iRacing. I don't know how long, maybe 5 or 6 years, but not the entire 12 years.
So is this all he does then? To have that many starts over 5 years?
No, he's in the Coke Series. Well, he was in the Coke Series, right? But he does. He's one of the only Coke Series drivers that really runs NIS consistently. Most of the others stay away from it.
He's got over 3 times the amount of wins as the next guy. 150 wins versus 48.
So he's won the championship 5 times, and he's looking at Division I specifically. And there's been, obviously 5 plus 6 others. So there's 11 years of NIS. So we're going into the 12th year. And so he's won 5 out of the 11. Those are some stats. And that's a very prestigious series, in my opinion. A lot of people run it. props to Garrett Maines for sure.
Anytime he's in there, he's definitely dominating it. You got something, Donnie?
I was just looking at the ARCA ones, not to change the subject, but Josh Berry is second with championships at 3. I'm just looking at some of the names when I ran ARCA I used to run with, and no wonder they were good because they've actually won championships. Yeah, oops, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was looking on this page for NIS Open, and we were talking about championships, but the next one down is how many wins. 150 wins for Garrett Maines. The next closest is Sean M. Conklin at 48. And then there's Greg's friend, Myron Shelley, 44 wins.
Are those all road?
Probably. Myron's real fast on road. I'm on the list, farther down the list, at 20 wins.
Hey, you're tied with Conte.
Go in the Open, go look at the starts, Mike.
Right, and so guess who leads the most starts? And so I saw this, and I'm number 1 by quite a bit. And I was thinking, that makes me the most experienced NASCAR iRacer, right?
I'm 10th on the starts.
And we got David coming in.
Or old.
Well, you're on the list too. No, Tony Rochette is on the list, I should say.
As is Greg.
Tom.
Yeah, Tom at 16. Where's Greg at?
48th.
Ah, there he is.
Yeah, the 7-year hiatus took care of me ever being on this.
So I'm at 837 on the starts. And the second place, Robert Roush, 707. So I got quite a few on him. So look, I'm going to probably keep running this series just so I can keep this particular stat forever, Other notables on this list, I want to point out Brad Miller, a former teammate and host of this podcast who had passed away a while back. He's 7th on the all-time start list still. And there's also Jonathan Dickert down in 50th. He is also passed.
So looking at points, Mike, you're 3rd overall with most points at 40,057.
That's amazing. 3rd overall. So you got Garrett Maines, Justin Levine, and then poor old me, and then Robert Roush, and so forth. Brad Miller right there in 6th. Tom Dreiling, our teammate, 13th. I mean, look, Tom has got 30,000 points, but he hasn't been doing it for so long, and so that's very impressive. David Hall, you're 29th on this list.
So how does Nick Nebon come up with this stuff? Is there a way to scrape something for this? I mean, that's a lot of work, considering what you got to deal with now if everything's in the UI.
He talks about that in this post, I think, at the top, but I think he took down like actual results from
You can take
year
the
one,
series rundown from every year and add them together.
like in Excel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had to download all 60 seasons and combine them in Excel.
Yeah.
Really?
Once you get it going, it's not hard to maintain.
Look, iRacing should not Nick shouldn't have to do that. iRacing should provide the service of giving us proper stats. These type of stats
website
we're looking at. Yeah. Can you find these easily, Donnie, on the website, what we're looking at?
No. He did a video series a few months back on giving all-time NASCAR drivers iRating. So I don't know how he did that either. So I wonder if he uses some kind of program. I'm sure he talked about that in the video. That was maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. He went all the way back to like the 60s and ran the seasons through something, and it gave each driver an iRating throughout time.
Well, it's all math. Your iRating is all math, and he just knew the math and spreadsheeted it.
Who's got time?
Nick Nebon.
Laps led, I'm on the list, 41st. Tom Dreiling's 36th.
All right, well, Brad, tell us about the sim racer getting help from Martin PC.
Yeah, so this was an Instagram post from Joel Smith. And it
Oh,
says,
the 11,000 I rating, Joel Smith.
okay.
That guy.
All right, so a huge thank you to Brian Haynes with Martin PC for driving all the way up from Maryland to personally deliver and set up my new simulator after an oven fire in November where I lost my sim rig due to smoke and soot damage. Brian graciously loaned me a PC so that I could get back up and running on a desktop. At the numerous Airbnbs we stayed at, it says, while he got this one built and ready to be delivered to our new house, I'm really grateful for all that Brian's done for me. So if you need a new rig, give Brian a call with Martin PC. So yeah, pretty neat. Nice looking rig though.
Which one's Joel Smith?
The young kid.
Yeah, with the
How old is he?
iRacing sweatshirt on. Probably about 12 or 13.
He's preteen, I think. Or
He ain't got no beard, I can tell you that.
no, he's got like 11,000 I rating on road.
Is that number one?
I don't think he's number one, but he's in the top 10. Yeah, we talked about him before on the show. So
Yeah, it looks like we got a full Mosa set up here. That's what it looks like.
Well, Mike, you were asking for it. It finally came out.
a roster. The 2025 NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series roster has finally hit with the list of names and what's changed and new teams and teams that have left and all this stuff. And it's a lot of it, and so, I read through it. I haven't committed it to memory. I think part of what I miss in previous pre-seasons is there's a lot of social media and stuff about, who's going with what team. And so we just didn't have that this year.
No, it just didn't seem like there was much build up to it at all. It just kind of was like all of a dump, the week before, I guess the week of that they did the clash this week. So yeah, I just think you could have, but I don't know. I mean, it's the same way with NASCAR. I mean, the clash is this weekend, and if you watch TV, you wouldn't even know it.
Kind of what I wanted to know was who are the people that got left out of the people that didn't get picked, and they didn't really give us a list of who didn't make it. So kind of hard to cross-reference names and figure out. So I still have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's my first season really paying attention to it. I'm pretty confused. But I mean, I like Casey Carwin races the roadside as well, so at least have somebody to cheer for.
I'm sure we could go back probably, I guess, when they ended it, because once we got through was what, top 49 was what they had, and then it was 49, and then they picked out the 49, so there were 9 that were left out.
I see the schedule. I digress a little bit. I see a schedule at the bottom, guys. Did they leave a gap somewhere for Mexico City in case we get Mexico City? I don't see it.
No, I think we talked about this when it was released, because that's June is when they go there, and I mean there's a gap there for Father's Day, which would be the 10th, but which I don't think.
Yeah, actually, if you look, season 1, season 3 both have 5 races. They could stick one in season 2, which only has 4.
Yeah. So maybe I'm looking forward to Mexico City. I think that'll be neat. I hope we can get a scan of that this season and not like next. But with the upcoming game, you'd think we're going to get it this season.
They were so quick on getting us the LA Coliseum. Why no Bowman Gray?
Maybe a licensing issue.
Yeah, I mean, we know Goodyear scanned it for their sim, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would anticipate it being in NASCAR 25. So
yeah, you figure that would have been one of the easy tracks to do at any point when they're doing the other short tracks in North Carolina. I wonder if there's something else holding it up.
Well, they just got done with all the new lighting, soft walls, and all that, so maybe that's why too.
All right. Well, let's keep talking about Coke drivers, but this one is a former guest on the show. Donnie, tell us a little bit about Vicente Salas's new news?
Yeah, Vicente Salas is going to be racing for Alpha Prime in the Xfinity Series this year. Won't be the full schedule, but I don't know if he has any races announced. But yeah, he was one of the first guests I remember you guys having on that I have a memory of before I joined the show when I first got into it. So that must have been like the 2020 or 2021 season that you guys interviewed him. But it's cool to actually hear him on the show and then actually watch his progression up.
Yeah, we have a quote here from Vicente. I'm going to read. He says, quote, "I've said it before and I stand by this statement, but I don't believe I'd be anywhere close to where I am now, and certainly not at the Xfinity Series level without the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series." Salas told Motorsport Hotspot on eNASCAR Media Day, quote, "Growing up on the West Coast, I felt like I was disconnected from the actual NASCAR scene out east, but I built connections, made friends that work in the industry, and they were able to get me the connection to go race a pro late model that really got this whole journey going."
So his first Xfinity start will be at Rockingham. Should be Easter weekend, April 19th.
That's really cool. I didn't know you guys had him on. I must have missed that episode, but I struggle to watch the Xfinity Series. I mean, I watch the Cup Series every week, but getting into the Xfinity Series, not so much. So that might give me a reason to watch.
That's the best racing every weekend.
I wonder if they get better numbers now that they don't let the Cup drivers race than they did back when it was basically Cup
Oh, they're
and a half.
well, they're back to being able to race
Yeah,
this year. So
that's
even
changing.
even in the Dash for Cash and all that, they're going to be able to run.
Are they allowed to run for points or just run as many races as they want?
No, they won't run for points, but because you still have to declare a series. I don't know if they've limited to the number of starts, but in prior years, they were not allowed to run into any of the Dash for Cash races, but apparently they can now. And I understand that. I mean, CW wants to try to draw people in and watch, and there's no better way than to have a Cup driver in your race.
William, your chat will blow up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday throughout the weekend. So
That's all right, man. I'm ready for it.
starts with talking crap about the Truck Series and how exciting those races are, and then we progress through the weekend.
All right.
Look, it all depends on if you're a Joey fan too.
Because as if something bad happens to him, Tony loses his mind.
All right, let's talk Coke race.
Yeah,
what do you think, David? Did you see it?
No, man. I was on the road, I believe. Wasn't I still in? I think I was driving back from Daytona when it was on.
So I love the paints on these cars. So let's start with that. One of the guys at iRacing, I forget the name, they did call him out, but he did all these paints, and they have the name really big on the side, the last name of the driver. It's not really about the sponsor. It's more about who the driver is. And from afar, when they're in a pack, at least from the side view, it's real easy to see those names and say, oh yeah, I can see who's pushing who. And that really made a difference for me enjoying this race. I'll tell you that for sure.
Was that just for the Clash?
It is. Yeah. It's just a one-time deal. But I'd like
They
it
did it
because
last year as well.
yeah, it's just taking it to the next level.
They probably had to do it because they took so long to get the roster ready.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Looks very iRocky.
Yeah, it got that IROC vibe for sure. But typical Daytona, they had the heat races and then a feature and there were some wrecks for sure. But at the end, it was our champion who made it to the finish line. By literally everyone kind of just wrecked and destroyed around him coming to the checker.
Well, we were talking in the chat. I didn't see the heat races, but I did see the main race, and I think somebody had said, "Well, let's see if the racing's going to be different this year." And then they wadded up half the field and going into turn one. So
it was like the Mazda race.
Yeah.
It was just like a typical Coke race that we saw last year.
Well, if you go to the next story down, guys, Michael Guest, one of those drivers, he put up a video of one of him getting destroyed in what was really a bad net code. I mean, like they had wrecked up in the upper lane. He was clear down in the bottom lane and just got destroyed from it. Like 10, 12 feet away or more.
Just remember with netcode, it's the system trying to predict where the cars are at. So somebody has somewhere, whether it's on the iRacing server or something, there's an actual, would be a replay of where everybody was. Unfortunately, when you see it on your end, it doesn't always, get it accurate.
And usually in normal, especially in normal road racing, you're going to have hit the person probably anyway. A lot of leagues will go ahead and penalize you, even if it is in that code. But in this oval situation, it gets exaggerated when a car basically ends up inside another car.
Initially, I was thinking, oh, this is that horrible checkup on the inside lane problem that we had last year. But it wasn't. But that reminded me of that, and we need to be mindful of how bad the checkup is on the bottom.
All right. I'll throw this one to William. We have some Max drama, even though it's not a road race, or is it a road race?
No, yeah, it was a road race. They're driving the prototypes. So Max pretty much just intentionally wrecks a Williams esports driver. In the clip that we've got in the script, you can only see the on-car views. So the first incident, you can't really tell if the Williams guy turns in on him or not. But I've seen some chase views since then, and Max just takes him out. And then later in the race, you can see Max up ahead, slowing down, and intentionally wrecks him coming down into the hairpin at Road America. So, I mean, are we think anything will happen to him? I mean, probably not, right? Just because of his name.
I think something did, but that's a little bit later in the show. We have some evidence maybe that he got shut down because of this incident, which happened over the weekend, I believe. But it's pretty blatant, as you, William. Max is waiting slowly. He gets in front of him. He forces him to the grass, and then he basically is brake checking him and stuff,
Yeah, I mean, I think he sat in the pits for probably close to 20 minutes getting repairs, but then came back out. So, I mean, look, honestly, I like Max, but that's disappointing that he would do that. I mean, really, I don't know. I wouldn't do that, but it's disappointing.
He's having a great month.
Well, as critical as I do get of the protest system, they do have a history of setting down celebrities before. Scott Speed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kyle Larson.
This was pretty wild, right? Scott Speed's incident.
It was multiple revenge acts. And we got a round two since you mentioned, was it Donnie that said he's had quite a week?
Yeah, he ran the junior 400. I apologize for the name. Junior Motorsports is a charity event they had this week, and Max ran into it. And the caption from iRacing says, 4 black flags courtesy of Max. I wonder what Nim did to deserve that. And he was essentially in, I believe, the broadcasted race with other people, with other like Nim.
Yeah.
So did he actually wreck the steward, the King steward?
No. You got it all wrong here. Basically, what happened is he paid the $400 to black flag somebody on track. So he black flagged Nim Cross, and he said something and he gets to put in a comment with his donation, and the comment said something like, "Not both of us get to sit out this," or something like that. I have to find it. Just a minute.
Well, that's exciting.
Is that related to the intentional wreck, or just somebody was black flagging Max as well?
I'm mad
in the race.
I don't think he was in the race, David. I think you just phoned in your donation.
Well, it shows him as car 64 here.
Oh, it does. Okay, well maybe I'm mistaken.
No. So Car 64, I think, was the iRacing team that was running. So he
Yes,
calls in, makes the donation, and then the message was holidays ain't for everyone this week. So my guess is that that was a little retaliation for being parked.
I didn't see that comment, so it makes sense.
that's kind of awesome.
I mean, they raised $70,000 of this. So I think that's fantastic.
All right. So, what hidden features do iRacing have? I know what about one of these. Actually, I know. I guess I know a few of them. Uh, William, take it.
Yeah, so this is about a 20-minute video, and I will butcher this guy's name if I try it. But he just goes through and he has 10 different supposedly free features that you can use with iRacing. He talks about being able to switch lobbies in a official practice session. You know, there's different virtual servers up, and you can swap between them. Talks about
Let me
withdrawing
jump in
from a
on that
race.
one.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
That's really useful if you want to go practice a qualifying run.
Yes.
When you get, go ahead.
All right. He talks about withdrawing from a race and joining another one before the current race ends. All you do is withdraw and then register for the new one. You still get your points and finish and everything, but you can still register for the new race if it would start before yours officially ends. Just be careful with that though, because if you DC or anything, you can't get back into your original race.
I was about to say you can stay in the current race,
right?
And until you close. You can also do this. Let's say you're in a practice session and you got in it before the race registration opened, and you don't want to leave the practice session, but you want to register for the race. You can stay in that practice session and just make sure you watch the clock, and leave the practice session when it's time to start the race.
Yeah. He talks about clearing the low fuel alert on your digital dash in a lot of the road cars, changing the FOV on your virtual mirror, making things closer or farther back. That's about it.
I ran into a problem with the virtual mirror when I had to go to the monitor for a little bit because the cars were just like way too far away. And then when I switched back, it was wrong again. And I thought cars were running me over when they weren't. So having that set right, depending on what screen you're using or VR, is pretty important that you have a proper understanding of how far the car is behind you.
Right. I never really messed with it the whole time I had been iRacing until about 2 weeks ago when I finally set it at the proper FOV, and yeah, it makes a big difference.
I don't even use the virtual mirror.
I do want a handful of the road cars.
Yeah, it's really useful on road.
We don't have some of the advantages of real life, so I'm going to use it just for the extra situational and awareness. All right. So, Mike, they're saying Rockingham needs a reskin?
It does. We have a few laps at Rockingham from Raja Caruth getting ready for his start there in NASCAR. And there was a couple comments on Twitter that we wanted to review. First of all was how much grip is there? They were saying, like, we don't have that much grip that Raja is showing in that video that we have at Rockingham. And so it seemed quite off. And so somebody else commented that, yeah, we probably need a reskin.
Yeah, the track was repaved in 22, and they really have not had any. I don't think I've had a single race there since. So I was listening to Sirius XM today, and I guess speed-wise, trucks were quicker than Xfinity and were 10 miles an hour faster than the last Cup race there. So did hear an interview with, I think, Brandon Jones, and said track's much smoother. There is still a few bumps, I guess, going into 3, which have kind of always been there. But yeah, I mean, the current scan we've got, it's like it feels like you're just driving across a washboard in places.
All right, next up we have an update on Porsche Tag Heuer. William, take it away.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite series to watch. As I told you guys when I first came on, the Porsche Cup car was one of the first ones I drove, and I drove it for a long time. So I really like going and watching the pros do this. I like it so much that I think I went back and binged like 3 seasons of it last year when I found it. It's starting on February 1st, and they run 7 races: Daytona, Mugello, Spa, Sachsenring, Thruxton, Fuji, and Le Mans. Not sure about the latter half of that schedule. Sachsenring and Thruxton, I'm going to be interesting.
Yeah, Thruxton's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and then I really don't like them on anything that's a GT car. It's really like prototype track for me. I know a lot of people really like the track, but I can't stand it in the GTs. And then another part of this that makes it my favorite is they do the All-Stars before the races. So Matt Malone, Dave Cam, Casey Kerwin, they all get on there and do an All-Star race beforehand, and those are usually really good. They're all streaming. You can watch it from all their point of views. It's a lot of fun.
Those are usually the funnest to watch, I think, is the pre-race ones.
Yep.
So, William, who do you? Can you pick anybody for championship? Is it Sebastian?
It's
again?
Sebastian. Yeah, he's got to be the favorite. There's no way.
After his Red Bull test up through the F2 car, I mean, he's got some chops after that, right?
And he's really fast in the Porsche Cup car too. I don't know that. I mean, they might challenge him, but he's got to be the favorite.
I see Mitchell DeJong on here. I thought he had left
To the other sim. I think that sim has kind of gone south. But yeah, he's back. That's good.
You got Gustavo there. He'll be fast. Diego Pinto. He'll be fast. Oscar. Yeah. Luke McCown. Yep. It's going to be a good season.
All right. Well, this one, I'm not sure who got more excited about it, Brad or Donnie. Which one of y'all wants to take this one? You want to wrestle for it? Donnie, take it away.
No, it's something we found this week. So we just joked maybe iRacing's listening to our podcast because we just talked about this last week or the week before, but more NIS style series. So they announced this week a year-long modified and super late model season that'll start from February. The modifieds will start February 4th. The super lates will start February 11th. They'll both end. Nope, sorry. The modifieds will end November 25th, and the super late will end December 2nd. I'm seeing 5 flags. So are they going to end with the Snowball Derby? Is that going to make its way into it like the Daytona 500?
Timing is correct.
I was thinking about that, and I didn't look at the schedule. And I just looked at it before I saw this post, and I like it.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. I mean, for those that like short track racing, I think I'm going to try to do the super lates. I do like it that it's not every single week for the most part. You know, there are some breaks in here about every 2 weeks or so, a couple back to backs. But look, this is what we've been asking for. I've steered away from this in the past just because it can be mayhem, these short races. But I think this is going to be good. I just hope people will support it. That's what you got to do.
Now that we know that they listen, now if they do bring on more series throughout time, let's spread it out throughout the week because they're heavy. They're heavy loading the end part of the week, and that's going to hurt participation at some point. I was looking at the schedule and what I'd be able to run for this series, and it looks like Sunday afternoon is all I can do. But if you come up with more, maybe spread them out throughout the week. Wouldn't hurt to do Monday, Tuesday.
I don't know if they're ever going to do that because people have to have a little bit of time to get ready for those limited races, whether it's through the weekly series that coincides with it sometimes. For example, like IMSA runs, has the weekly race, or the A Opens with NIS. I don't know if they're going to do that. I think you're ultimately just going to, on these type of series, you're going to have to pick your poisons and based on the amount of time you have, especially if you're already doing something like NIS or Enduro or any leagues or anything like that.
Yeah, and eventually it grows into a beast and we have a bunch of them, but then you're right, you're going to have to pick and choose what you you actually get to run.
Yeah, I was thinking about we talked about them maybe doing this with the sports cars, and I think it would be interesting to have one way to bring the separation between IMSA and WEC back would be through these long series. Like have one just run the IMSA schedule, have one just run the WEC schedule, and you could kind of alternate them if you need to. If they were both on the same weekend, you could push one of them off to an off weekend. They don't have to always exactly. They could be 1 week offset from the real life, if that avoids WEC and IMSA being on the same weekend. Or you just run them both as is, and you pick which one you want to go.
Well, they need to scan some more tracks to even get close to the WEC schedule.
Yeah,
I
you're
like
missing
this.
about half the WEC tracks.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Is IMSA complete?
Don't know. I'll look it up.
No, we do not have the Detroit where they went to run the street course this year. They did not run Belle Isle.
So
I don't care. Just run Belle Isle.
this is like an NIS style, schedule, limited starts, per race week, and all throughout the year. And so last year, the IndyCar had a similar NIS style series, and it was tough for me. I actually didn't finish it because those races were long, and IndyCar is brutal, and it was too much for me. And so I'm actually thinking I'm going to replace that this year with the supers, and do like I'll try to do one a week. Like I'm not going to commit to doing more than one, but I'll do one every time there's a race week. And so yeah, I'm in. I'm going to do it.
IndyCar was full distance too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was brutal. It was too much for me.
So I'm obviously
go ahead.
I'm obviously not as up on the oval series. What license class will these be? These be C, or did they say?
Most of the time, these more extended special series are always basically D 4.0, which basically means C.
Yeah.
All right, we got our own event coming up, our own version of the Clash. It's going to be on February 8th at 9 Eastern. It's 20 laps with a fixed set. We're running the next gen cars at Daytona. Caution laps are not going to count, but there are no quick fixes. We've kind of discovered over time that leads to just a lot of over aggressive racing. So we're leaving that out. We might, just to see if we can get the car count even higher, throw in some heat races as well, so that we can throw more cars in there. But we haven't finalized that decision. It's ultimately Chris will do what he thinks based on what we tell him, and then but the main event will be 20 laps.
Yeah, everyone needs practice for Daytona, so come on out and race with us, folks. It's going to be fun. This is a Saturday night, so come on out.
And you only kicked out one last year, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think we had to. Yeah, there was an incident.
So do we still have the next one on here because it's not completely over? It's not just a one-time start?
I don't know. It says on this graphic through the 31st, right? So, but look, this ran, already the Dale Jr. thing. It started at 5:30 my time, and about 3 hours later, they were still running it. And so I'm kind of glad I didn't do it.
Well, it was a team event. So, like I said earlier, I think I saw either on Twitter X. I think they raised $70,000. So which is good. I mean, that was the whole purpose of it. It's a charity event.
Yeah, the broadcasted one was Wednesday. The rest of it's the regular special event time slots.
Now, they did post up today on Twitter, thank you about the 70,000 raised, with also a screenshot here of the people who donated to cause a black flag or a caution or whatever. And so the message from Max Verstappen to Nim Cross said, "Holidays ain't for everyone this week."
Yeah, like I said, I think that tells us what happened.
Hey, title idea: Holidays ain't for everyone.
Does it make sense?
No, but
Well, a lot of times when somebody does something that's protestable, the next thing to come out of somebody else's mouth is enjoy your vacation.
enjoy your holiday, right?
And
And
yeah,
so
holiday
remember,
is
Max
British for vacation.
he road raged earlier this weekend. And so then last night, yeah, saw Nim Cross out there, and he got to black flag Nim Cross and give him that message. Holidays ain't for everyone this week.
Now, is Max just randomly watching the broadcast of the Driven to Give 400, or does he got like a tip? Like, all right, this guy's gonna be racing, and you can black flag him. Let's do it.
They had announced, I think, on X, who was going to be running for iRacing, and I thought I saw it was going to be Steve Myers. I did see Nim Cross. I don't remember who else, but they had announced that on X.
I don't know, but he figured it out, and it's a good ploy. Look, if I got set down for the weekend or for the week by iRacing, and then you had a chance to kind of jab at the Nim Cross guy, might be fun. I don't know.
$4 maybe.
What's $400 to somebody like Max?
A sandwich.
$4 to me.
All right. So what else is going on this week, Brad?
Winter NIS is at Talladega, as we'd shared. The Super Late Model Tour, which is running year long, is going to be at I-55. The M2 is at Circuit de Ledon, and the FIA F4 regionals. Americas are at Virginia International Raceway. Asia Pacific's at Winton. Europe is at Motorsport Ashlerben, and Global is at Sakuba. I think we had a big discussion about how you actually say that last time.
So to Scuba, I did the fly around like a bird thing this week, and it reminded me there's a small dirt oval there at Scuba that we have no access to. I mean, that would be perfect for the little dirt mini midget thing.
Same thing with the dirt track at Indy.
Well, there's a little oval at Lime Rock too. I mean, there's all these, and so I'm calling on iRacing. Can we go back to all these tracks that we already have that have tracks that you never developed, and can you just develop them and just have a different configuration?
Yeah, but they weren't scanned. I doubt they scanned the dirt track. It's just
They did Indy.
Did they actually scan it?
You could see it on the scan data.
Yeah, they've said they've got a lot of scan data for stuff they haven't even made.
They're waiting for 350,000 subscribers.
Okay.
Or they don't care because they already got 300. One of the two.
So I also did the fly around at Circuit de Lebanon, as you called it, and they have this chimney off in the distance. It's a red and white striped, looks like a factory chimney that goes to the sky. I mean, it's like a skyscraper, and it just way out in the distance. So I flew to it because I was waiting for the race to start, and I got to it, and I was expecting a big factory under it or something. I couldn't find any. There was no factory; it just had the chimney. So then I was curious. Later in the evening, I went on Google Earth trying to hunt this thing down, and I couldn't find it. So if anyone is good with Google Earth, tell me what the deal is with the chimney at the Circuit de Lebanon, because when I look at Google Earth, it's just not there. I put a picture in the chat for you guys, but you must have missed it. All right, podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so you don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. Our website is iRacersLounge.com for the show notes. We're in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. And get your iRacers Lounge merchandise at iRacersLounge.shop.
Also, don't forget, Fantasy will be coming up soon. All right. First up on hardware software, beware the Windows update. Right now, Microsoft is recommending not updating to 24H2 until these issues are fixed. So please uninstall Windows 24H2 by going to the recovery rollback option to revert to previous versions. What's happening is it's causing issues for gamers, not just iRacing, but all across, including crashes, glitches, and problems with anti-cheat systems. Microsoft is working on a fix for the EAC compatibility issues. Now, I'm specifically not on H2 originally because it wouldn't let me run the reverb. I don't have that issue anymore, but I still haven't updated.
Yeah, I saw this and went and double checked, make sure I had not updated to it, and I had not. So
Mine is sitting there asking me to update to it.
That's where mine's at.
So don't do it, folks. Don't do it. Yeah, this is iRacing saying not to do this.
All right, so let's do a little hot off the press. Brad, tell us what you just posted.
throttle assist.
No, in team chat.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So just saw on Facebook announcement from Ford in collaboration with WEC, but there was some rumors that I guess Ford was going to enter GTP or LMDH with a prototype, and I guess they have confirmed that's going to happen for 2027. So a couple sports car podcasts I listened to said that this was getting close, and then also that McLaren is also obviously wanting to do it as well. We did get the announcement this year that Genesis is expecting to run WEC in 26, be in IMSA in 27. So I know the current rules package I think runs through 2029. So it's good. I mean, I saw another article today. I guess I think Lamborghini is just imploding. They're now trying to find somebody from a customer standpoint to try to run the program for them. So that's discouraging. That car had a lot of promise last year, but that's good. Now one of the ones I was listening to, I guess the concern is going to be what happens. I think you're going to get to the point where the saturation is going to get too heavy for IMSA and WEC. That my only fear is that with IMSA, as the GTP ranks continue to grow and the GTD is the thought is you may end up having to get rid of LMP2, which I think would be a shame.
I don't think it'll go away in the series because it's the only car that in the series that is spec. The other ones are actually engines, but LMP2 is basically pretty much a spec series that we got to talk to some of the guys in the garage about that, and that's why they particularly like that series.
Yeah, but the issue is capacity, and I mean, you think Daytona was 61 cars, which is pretty much max capacity at some point. If you've got more factory teams that want to come in, I mean, you think about if you're going to add Ford, you're going to add McLaren, you're going to add Genesis, and you're going to add Aston Martin. That's Ford. If they're doing 2 cars apiece, that's another 8 cars. So now you're talking about way too many GTPs. Something's going to have to give.
Well, we know one team is in GTD is at least leaving, so they might cut a few GTD slots. Or they may just up the car count.
Well, you run out of garage space. That's a problem WEC's got. But look, sports car racing is in an absolutely fantastic spot right now. It is absolutely wonderful. If you like sports car racing, this is probably the best it's ever been.
All right, Mike, what is this about throttle assist and cheating? We've talked about this before.
Well, there's a forum post that basically says people who turn on the throttle assist check mark in the options are having an advantage. And so that was the discussion in the forums. Nick Nebon takes it to the next step and does a YouTube video about it, trying to prove or disprove if it does help. I think the conclusion on the video was it helps getting off a pit road, or going from a complete stop up to a certain speed.
So I read through a lot of the forum posts when this first hit. I haven't kept up with it, but I think some of the discussion was I thought this was not supposed to be allowed once you got past the D license level, and I guess this is being used in C license as well.
Oh, I missed that part, but yeah, you're right. I think the assist, like the line and the brake assist and throttle assist, should be only D and below. Correct.
Yeah, there was some
I
chatter.
thought those were C and below.
Maybe it is.
Because I know like the line is on for the NIS races.
That's a good point. So yeah.
Yeah, B class is where they get rid of a lot of that.
Yeah, it's being up.
So is it an advantage? Are we worried about
All right.
people turning on throttle assist? I'm not.
All right. So the issue seems to be that these aids are enabled for C, but I guess according to the manual, says it's only D, no aids for D and up. So either iRacing needs to turn it off for C, or they need to update the manual. It appears to be the issue.
Or is it kind of a little bit of both, and it's selective aids are available for each?
Well, if the rule book says one thing and the software is doing another, they need to adjust one of them.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Not the first time.
Look, as a rookie, did anyone use throttle assist coming up?
I was always given the impression that a lot of times the assist ultimately, if you had a certain amount of talent, ultimately would actually slow you
Hurt
down.
Yeah, it'll actually slow your progress in learning the car down.
Well, no, it will literally just slow you down. Like you cannot go as fast as somebody who's not using it that knows what they're doing. I remember when I first started doing the roadside in the Mazdas, I still had the H pattern working at that time, and they said put it on H pattern, and they said turn off auto blip, and because it actually makes the Mazda go slower.
I think Dave Cam has a video about that from a few years back.
Yeah, you can shift it faster than it can auto blip, but if you miss it once, then auto blip's better though.
Yes, still oval rookie here, and I did not know this was a thing. And the first time I get in a Gen 4, hit the gas coming off pit road, I think I did about 3 donuts before I got it back under control.
It's like an egg underneath the throttle, man. You got to be careful with it.
Yeah,
no traction. Sure. They also have no traction control.
Yeah, I'm better now, but yeah, that was pretty fun the first couple times.
All right. Bobby, I'm going to throw this one at you because I know you were talking about these guys in the chat the other day, weren't you?
T-Nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used them a lot, and I think a few of us have. They're really good on their products, and they are now offering pre-made sim stuff. Well, I mean, you have to assemble it when you get it, but pre-made packages. By far, though, you can't beat them for their price per nut, per bolt, even on the aluminum is just amazing. But their service is really good. If you call them or email them, they're pretty quick to respond, and their shipping is actually really reasonable, and it's actually really fast. I think it's all priority mail.
The only thing I struggle with is trying to determine what size T-Nuts I have and what size I don't.
So do you have big nuts or little nuts?
He doesn't know. What's also nice, you can, if you want to order extrusion, you can order basically whatever length you need to the fractional length. So if you wanted 3 inches, 3 1/16, 3 3/16, they'll cut it down to that.
Yeah, they will. If you need any like holes pre-made, and they will do all that stuff for you too. I mean, there's an extra fee for each of that, but it's well worth it if you don't have the equipment.
If there's an assorted package of different size nuts, is that called the Chex package?
It's just a bag of mixed nuts.
I thought you were bragging, Donnie, about these cable ties or the cable hider things.
Now, those came from Lawrence's one of his last videos. He was randomly just showing, but that's where these are from because he's the one that turned me on to T-Nuts. And then I saw those and I was like, oh, that's where he got them from. But they're because he was having trouble putting them on the rig. Those are the exact ones he was using, but he just had them upside down.
Yeah, they're a snug fit, and they work very well for what they're intended for.
Yeah, they do. I've got the same things. I did not get them from Lawrence. I bought them somewhere else. I don't remember where it was.
There's a few of the places that have them, and there's a few shops on Etsy that make them too.
I sent one of those companies back maybe a year or so ago, Mike, when I was sending companies letters for sponsorship. This was one of them, and they never responded. So if they're listening, We use your site. We think it's great.
Well, for the longest time, they didn't have any sim products. I noticed the other day I was on there buying some stuff for my rig that I'm redoing now. They have gotten into sim racing. Maybe they're open to it at this point.
All right, Mike, what does Lawrence Deswassa think about using the active pedal from SimuCube for the throttle?
Well, I got through part of this, so I don't think I got the conclusion, but he does have 3 of them, clutch, brake, throttle. And so I think it's pretty easy to say these are great when you have them, when you didn't have to pay for them and that kind of thing. But, it all boils down to what you can afford. There's a lot of solutions where you don't need to buy the active pedal. But look, if you can afford it, why not? Because you do feel some force feedback type stuff through that pedal is basically, what I got out of this video.
Yeah, I mean the cons one right off the bat's the price. We know that. He says the size. You can't invert them. The pros. I mean, I don't know. One of the things he said was, imagine you're doing a race and it's got a long straight, and you realize that you don't want to push the throttle down that far, so you can actually adjust it right there in the middle, and you don't have to recalibrate or anything. Unlike so if we adjust the throw on our throttle, on a regular, whether it's with a load cell or a house sensor or whatever, you got to recalibrate. Here you don't, so that's one benefit. I can't imagine running down the backstretch of Talladega and be like, oh, I'm just using too much throttle. Let me dial it back some. But again, if you've got $2,000 just laying around that you don't have anything to do with, then get it. I don't see the point you need it though.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point that the fact that I like the active pedal is the idea of profiles, where I can pull up a Tony Kanaan IndyCar profile and run an IndyCar style brake. But why not have the IndyCar style throttle, with that limited throw or whatever the style is in IndyCar to go along with the brake? I guess I'm not smart enough to realize I need that to go with the brake. I think just the brake would be enough to trick my mind, and the throttle could be the same from car to car.
I would almost rather have a consistent feel out of the brake and throttle for every car instead of having completely different pedals and having to learn a whole different set of muscle memory.
I think that threw me off doing it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, unless you primarily just focus on one car.
All right, this next one should be thrown to you as well, Mike, being a SimuCube guy. But SimLab is looking like it's going to try to challenge SimuCube for the, I guess, the top dog in the direct drive world.
Well, we don't know. I mean, there was a lot of chatter at the expo that the prototype they have felt very, very good compared to some of the top models out today. This is an interview with the CEO of SimLab, the main guy. I don't recall his name, but he talks about the product and how they developed it and why and all this different stuff. But one part came out that was they have a different kind of chip, computer chip that the other competitors don't have, that is made by people in the motor industry that make these direct drive motors, and that's going to kind of set them apart, is the way I took it.
Yeah, it has to deal with the latency. So the interesting thing is, I guess, it's going to be 2 levels. I think it's a 25 Newton meter and a 35 Newton meter. My gosh, rip your arms off.
Throw that up to 100% and run Indy.
SimLab has really good quality stuff. My only concern is if they keep branching out into different areas, does the overall product lineup suffer from not being focused?
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I did get out of this, I guess they're getting ready to release, either they have or they're going to release a sequential shifter. But the way they were talking is there's actually haptics built into the shifter, which you could set 3 different modes, which is kind of interesting. There's get the normal resistance from a shifter. But with haptics, I think would actually be kind of interesting as well.
Has anybody tried their pedals?
I have not. I mean, I've seen a bunch of reviews. It seems to be decent reviews on them. But yeah, I mean, they continue to branch out into peripherals as well.
Well, we'll have to wait for it to be out and about in the wild and see what people say about it. I think, before we place a judgment on it.
All right, Will, what do you think of this new GT3 wheel video?
So, I mean, it's interesting. It's supposedly exactly like the real Ford GT3 wheel, just adapted for sim racing. So, if you looked at the car on the track, it should look almost identical. But man, that price. You're definitely paying for what they think is a replica, pretty much.
Well, it is a replica, so it's built from the same CAD files, everything. So it's this is as close as you're going to get, other than the electronics being swapped out for something that'll work with sim racing. So it's yeah, very cool, but stupid expensive.
Everything is carbon fiber, is what I realized. Sarah did a good review, and it's super light, is what she also communicated. The weight of it, due to that carbon fiber on the back, the front, everything, the paddles, even the mount for the quick release was all carbon fiber, and I think that's part of why the cost is high, is to get that weight low. And look, if you're not on a high end, Newton meter wheel, you need a very lightweight wheel. If you put a heavy wheel on a 15 or a 12 Newton meter, it's going to be tough to feel the bumps and the vibrations as much as if you had a lighter wheel. It's growing on me. In other words, I mean, it's still what, $2,000 or?
Yeah, but I mean, look,
Yeah.
it's as the one thing I find unique is, as sim racers, we want every bell, every whistle, everything on a wheel. But when you look at what's actually in the real cars, they're very simplistic and somewhat to the point of what you need to do in order to race.
Oh yeah, if you would look at the grid walk, like when they came to Road Atlanta, and you look inside the car, there's not even half the bells and whistles we have on most of our sim racing stuff.
That's right.
So that begs the question: would you be willing to pay that money for a replica, or half the price with buttons and switches that you could actually use
Right.
for sim racing?
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, that's I love the Gomez wheels and stuff like that, and they look fantastic. It's just the price tag is so high.
All right, Brad, we got a special announcement on this next one that you want to talk about.
Yeah, so we've talked quite a few times about this NASCAR style push to talk button box that I've got and Justin got. Well, Justin ran into some issues and actually I think that he had a wire failure in it. So he reached back out to Fred, and that's the guy that we bought him from, and he's actually renamed his Etsy shop to Spectrum OG. And so he reached out and said, "Hey, I had an issue," and Fred ended up said that he's basically redesigned the box to where it's a little bit stronger. So Fred sent him a brand new box to replace it, and so Justin reached back out to him and says he sent me a screenshot of their conversation. He says, "Hey, just got the part back. Thanks for everything. You went above and beyond." He said, "If you don't mind, I'd like to give a shout out to you on our podcast." And then so Fred ended up messaged it back. He says, "Hey, glad to help, Justin." He said, "I actually listen to the lounge regularly." So he said he did appreciate the shout out. And he said what he wanted to do was said he'd be happy to do a giveaway for our listeners. So what we decided to do is we're going to have the iRacers Lounge Clash next week. And the winner of that will get a button box, a push to talk button box from Spectrum OG. So a little prize on the table for those. So make sure we hopefully maybe we'll get a few more guys signed up. I'd like to get a second one, if I could, maybe. I pick up another round wheel. So
Let the wrecking begin. No, I got the same exact. I got the same exact push to talk. What do you use the switches for?
so the first one I use that for damage, and then I use it for weather. So the spotter for that. And then the second one I use for to turn up chat volume because sometimes guys tend to be a little low. So the big button I use for us in Discord, and then the smaller button I use for iRacing chat.
I'd turn a death match between me and Mike.
Let's do it. I love it when prizes are on the line. Let's go get that prize.
So, but no, I mean, look, this is the only thing that he does that's sim racing. But I like I said, I've been super happy, and like Bobby said, Etsy is literally the black hole for sim racing stuff. I mean, it is absolutely crazy the kind of stuff that's out there. The 3D printing. I mean, literally, you could. I spend hours just flipping through stuff and going, yep, 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 yep.
All right, Bobby, you got the next one. Early bird gets the what?
The video cards?
That's right. The
I'm
5090s
sorry.
on sale.
I don't care if I get one for $10. I don't know if I can sit outside of a store for 4 days. And basically, I'm retired at this point, so I still don't know if I can sit outside the store and still have to pay full price for a video card.
I've spent way too much time that I'm willing to admit in Star Wars lines throughout my life. I don't think I'm ready for waiting in line for a graphic card.
Look, all truth, we used to do this for race tickets back in the day. I mean, we would camp out for 2
Concert
days.
tickets?
Concert tickets, race tickets. I mean, that's what you had to do to get good tickets at the race. You had to camp out. So not unheard of. But yeah, so I guess I did look at this Instagram post from UFD Tech, and I guess the plan is that I guess there's people planning to sell these things for like what $7,000 once they get one. That's insane.
Yeah, this Micro Center is where I picked up my Simu Cube. It looks very familiar.
So people are camping outside the micro centers in tents, in line, waiting to buy the new cards.
So if that's a Micro Center, they're probably going to have to buy. You can only buy one, right? I think that's going to be their limit. They're usually pretty good. They're pretty good about it. I just it would have to be a bigger return than that.
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough to live within 30 minutes of 2 different micro centers. One of them got 5 of the cards, the other got 4. So good luck, guys.
What's the longest you guys have ever waited in any kind of line?
Probably about 6 or 7 hours at a voice or not voice. I think it was one of the singing competitions. It may have been the original American Idol audition type thing.
I think we did 30 hours for Front Row Metallica on the Black Tour.
You sing too, David?
Yes. All right. I don't know if it sings, but it does move. Tell us about this next item, Donnie.
Yeah, typically I'm not a fan of these prefabricated, sponsored, logoed cockpits, monocoques, whatever we want to call them. But I actually like this one. I don't know if it's the color, the paint scheme, what it is, but it's the old Camel GT Honda paint scheme, number 39. It's a single monitor. I don't know what kind of rig they're going for here, though. Is it like a horse? But it's on 2 prolonged legs that stick out in the front, stick out in the back. I'm not understanding where all the side support is, but I don't hate looking at it. It's from Racing Fuel Simulators.
Why are you calling it a horse? It's clearly a camel.
I've tested one very similar to this at PRI the one year. The motion's actually not bad. It's a little different because it's not a typical 4-post that we're used to. It does take up a little bit less footprint. The bars look like they add quite a bit, though. But the difference is, when I tested, it had triple monitors. This has only got a single.
Can Jordan Taylor tip that over?
So look at the back underneath the seat. There's blue skateboard wheels that are going left and right. And so that tells me that thing moves left and right. So is that like the seat, your butt kind of shaking left, right, hip, like a hip shake?
I think it's a drag race simulator because it's got a wheelie bar out the back.
It's for wheel slip, Mike.
Crazy with the skateboard wheels on it. I've never seen that.
very expensive. So the stage 1 is 13,500 euros. The stage
Computer or
1.
no computer?
No computer. So, and then stage 1 Pro is 23,500 euros.
Yikes.
Yeah. I think the thing that bothers me is
What's
when
the
you
look it's going for?
well, it's the third slide where you get the pedals, and I guess this is part of, I hate to say it, a win sim, but if I'm spending 13,000 euros and the ductwork is taped on, I'm going to be a little upset.
The duct tape on the windshield.
I see it. That is horrible. And they put that in a picture.
Yeah.
Look, all the wind sim with a Y and big long hoses. There's no way that works effectively. I've tried it. I mean, you can't have long hoses on these things, especially you can't Y it.
Did you tape it like that, though? Maybe that's the trick.
That may be the difference, Mike.
Damn it! Get the
That
tape
is
out.
horrible. That is pretty bad.
Well, Mike, how loud is your shifter?
It's not bad, you know. It's not something I'm worried about at all. Clickety click click. But
Well,
we have a new shifter from Aologs, their new silent sequential shifter.
So we've talked about this before, and if you guys remember when we discussed this, it was the the actual shifter part was kind of wide open, and it wasn't enclosed or anything. And one of the things we discussed was that if I'm going to spend the money on that, I don't want all of the inner workings to be visible. So, Mike, when you threw this in the script, I said obviously they must be listeners to the show because now they've basically encapsulated all the inner workings in one box.
You're right. That model didn't last long, did it? So they have this new one. And what's fascinating is you can turn it you can mount it like up and down or sideways.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that you can change the actual mounting on it.
I do like my sequential from Octane, little small company out of Ohio, but it does make for some early morning, Sunday morning NIS issues with the wife because I'm right next door to our bedroom and it's decently loud.
Look, I can't recommend Aologs enough. I mean, I've been so happy with the sequential shifter I got from them. Their version 1, I guess you would call it. It is enclosed, but it's got a glass or plexiglass top where you can see the inside of it, but it is enclosed with the little plexiglass, the one I have. And it's got a little LED in it to light it up, and it's cute. But this one's very cute too. And look, if I was buying today, I'd probably buy this new one.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that you can change the mounting, whether it's horizontal or if it's upright. So that is actually pretty good idea depending on where you're at with your rig space wise.
It's really small footprint if you turn it up, right?
Yeah.
All right, got one more topic. It's an update for Marvin's awesome iRacing app. He says he's not sure. I guess he's posted this to us, hasn't he? Is that why he's saying I'm
It's
not sure if you guys
a
have seen
mailbag, David.
Yeah. All right. Well, he starts off saying, I'm not sure you guys have seen this, but a clever programmer has come up with a cool app that opens iRacing 360 hertz to more bases and offers some unique setting options. So what else does it? What else does it do, Mike?
Well, he's just basically pointing out this app called Marvin's Awesome iRacing app, and it basically does force feedback, separate from what iRacing provides, and so he just, Chad McNeese is the listener who sent this in. He sent a link to the thread and a link to the guy's website, and basically it's a pretty simple app to set up and test for yourself, and is recommending our listeners should try it. So I have not tried this. It's on my list, though.
All right, so we talked about this a few weeks ago, and if my memory serves me, this is the guy that had frozen shoulder, if I'm remembering right,
That's right. We did talk
and
about this.
wanted to be able to get the detail out of the force feedback without all of the strength of the force feedback. So, yeah, Chad needs to listen to the show. Chad, we appreciate it. You're pretty active in Discord. Chad's got a has a good finger on the force feedback stuff. So I'll take his word for this. But yeah, it's something I need to check out. Now I am Sim Magic, and he says in here that there are some issues where he hasn't been able to get this to work with the Sim Magic bases. But he does say he did notice that David Tucker from iRacing has commented in there and seems to be supportive of it. So that's a good news. I've switched to the 360 with the Sim Magic, and I have not been overly thrilled with it. It's fine on the road side, but the oval side, I just don't think I like it. A lot of grinding, a lot of, especially in low speed, just feels very weird. So maybe they get the Sim Magic thing settled out. Maybe this will help some of us that are on the Sim Magic bases.
I don't know. I mean, I'm happy with my force feedback. I really am. And so I just don't feel a need to try something different because I just feel like it's as good as it can be. I don't know. I got the SimiCube 2 Pro. I'm running a Daniel Morad, profile. How can you go wrong?
Speaking of Daniel Morad, since you brought it up, and before we move on to results, I don't want to save this till final thoughts. Why don't I go ahead and talk a little bit about the Daytona trip? Now it was quite fun. Got to hang out with Bobby. He met the guy that I camped with. I slept in my car, and all the setup that I used worked out really nice, except that the bottom of the bed was actually getting really cold, even though the air was staying in the cabin really warm. It was a great experience. I ended up walking about 47 miles. I got to say hi to Andy Lally again, as well as Sean and Ryan from Dinner with Racers. Visited with them for just a little bit because it was race day and they were getting ready. Also got to visit with Daniel Norad, and I'm going to try to reach out and get in contact with him this week as well. He was pretty nice in the pit, or not in the pits, but at the grid walk. So it was pretty neat to meet him.
Yeah, I met him at VIR last year. Very, very nice guy. Talked to us for quite a while.
All right, that brings us to results. I guess I'll start with FIA F4 Americas P17. Qualified 18th in top split. I finished 17th with 0 incidents at Tsukuba. I was actually here for SR. Now, this is one of the first times you've probably ever heard me say that, but I was looking at the iRacing UI, just kind of poking around, and I was at the profile, and I went down, and the NPR thing said, you're in danger of losing your license because you're at 1.8 SR. And so I said, okay, I'll do a race and get it above 2.0 just so it doesn't say that. And so that was the goal. And it ended up being top split. And the guy in there was like 8,600 iRating. He was like a second faster than me. But anyway, I was able to get through the race with 0 incident, made like 0.8 SR and got it well above 2.
Says the guy to never worry about SR.
Also, did you announce it prior to the green flag that you're there for SR?
I did on the stream, on the TikTok stream to my listeners, so they understood why I wasn't like going hard, but I didn't to the drivers though.
Does that count then?
No.
Now then I raced the BMW M2, and I've been having a lot of fun with this car. P6 qualified third, but ran off into the grass on my own. Fell back to 8th, recovered to finish P6. And then we switched weeks over to Circuit de Lebanon. I qualified 11th out of 12th in top split and got my way up to finish P6. I had a great battle for 6th with a guy, and it was a little rough at the end. I ended up doing the bump and run on the final corner to take the spot. It was clean enough and a great racing. Next race qualified finish fifth, finished P2. Great run, but I didn't have anything for that leader. He was way faster than me. Moving on to A Open. A Open.
Did you get
Sorry,
lost?
guys, I'm having computer problems here.
Well,
But
A
A Open.
Chris W. P6. He took a bit to learn the setup. He quit shifting and took off. Late race caution stayed out on tires that were 10 laps old, led some laps, and brought it home P6.
IMSA, Brad, P6.
Yeah, P6 GTD Road America. So probably one of my favorite circuits. Started P9, was able to gain a few spots in the early laps. As large as this place is, traffic could still be an issue. I swear, it seems like there's, I got a guy chasing me, and I'm like, all right, so there's traffic coming. Hope it's going to catch him at a bad spot. Nope, catches him on a straight, catches me in a corner. It's just the way it always works. But could end up gaining on the cars ahead, just again, until being passed. So ended up with a very good pit stop and was able to jump P6 and then was able to hold him off to the finish. So this was, I want to say this was probably, I think, no, this wasn't top split, but I was happy.
All right, leagues. William, Grassroots Racing.
Yeah, so we did Road to America this week to mirror IMSA. I qualified second, had a mistake on the first lap, rode in third for a majority of the race, gained that place back in the pits. With about 10 minutes to go, I spun the car coming out of the final turn, just touched the grass a little bit and got a little bit of aero damage. Fell back to P3 again, and which is sad because I actually could have won it because our leader had an unfortunate mishap trying to pass two cars that got together in the kink. They were lapped, but fighting for position. They got together in unfortunate casualty there. So I could have had a P1 if I hadn't spun it in the last turn there. This was I know I said last week I was going to try to do more racing this week, but this was unfortunately my only race of the week.
How long are the races, William?
So normally they're 45 minutes, but we do 4 endurance rounds a year, and this one was an endurance round. It's going to be 90 minutes, an hour and a half long.
Cool.
All right, hosted racing I ran. Old IndyCar at Michigan got wrecked out. Gen 5 at Talladega finished P2 and I actually almost won that one. Then Supercars at Michigan wrecked out. Mini stocks at Bristol. This was crazy. I qualified 45 out of 60 cars at Bristol, and I finished like 12th or something like that. Gen 5 at Talladega, qualified 41st out of 54, got wrecked out. Then the pavement sprint car at Rockingham finished P2. Man, that was a really fun look. You can never find anybody to run that, and I did. And so that car on that track is a blast. And then 87s at Talladega, P4, great race. David Hall, you did league racing Polar Series at Michigan.
Yeah, I was the only one to make it. The race length was 100 laps. The fuel window was 50 laps. So I spent the entire race racing the fuel tank.
Doesn't sound like fun.
If it was something that happens in one or two races, cool. And I hope this is not a sign of what's to come in NIS, because they pick the links based on kind of what NIS runs. So the only difference is NIS, you can have more cautions. So I just hope it's not a sign of what's to come with that, for sure.
Okay, let's jump to.
But I guess did you say P14? I came in P14. I was just slow saving fuel, and everybody else was saving fuel and was faster.
All right, let's jump to final thoughts then. David Hall, you're first.
Well, I did talk about the traveling down to Daytona. That was fun. So I didn't do much racing last week. I've gotten one Road America in so far, and got a couple of events coming up here soon. We've got Greg and I are going to run the Mech series next weekend. Or actually, I think it's 2 weeks away.
2 weeks.
And that same weekend, there's also the Intimidator, which is going to be 500 miles in the 87 cars.
Yeah, Justin and I are going to do mech as well, and I'm running the Intimidator.
So looking forward to those. I enjoy Road America. I'll probably catch a few more races there. I got really screwed over by a GT3 guy who decided on the short shoot after turn 5 to block me and another LMP2. A GTP to try to make a pass in the short shoot when we were both literally right behind him, and he pulled over and cut us both off, and we ended up losing over 5 seconds on that lap, and positions as a result. But yep. Other than that, everything's running fine. Loving the Pimax. It's so much better than the Reverb.
Okay, Greg Hector's final thought.
I haven't done anything in the last week. I've even been missing most of our chat the last week. It's just been crazy busy work wise and stuff. But yeah, it's really tough at this time of year with weather and stuff like that. Doing what I do, and well, hopefully I can get maybe some racing in this weekend and get some time back on the sim since I'm off Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So let's try and get some laps in or do something, because I'm kind of bored of not doing anything at nighttime when I get home.
Okay, Bobby Jonas, what do you got going? Final thought.
So it was nice to see David again when he came down for the Rolex. Be nice if more of the guys would come down. It's a good time. In the middle of rebuilding my chassis still. I'm waiting on a few parts that should be coming Amazon tomorrow. And then I'm probably going to have to order a couple more things or make a run to Micro Center because a couple unexpected little projects on it popped up. But I've enjoyed my time off. I've been having a lot of fun rebuilding, and I'm really starting to look forward to the start of NIS.
All right, Brad Wren, final thought.
So after spending the weekend watching the real Rolex 24, I put up in the chat, it's time for iRacing to do something. We either need to figure out full course yellows, or we need to figure out tire limits or something. Something needs to get done to add a little bit of uncertainty or strategy to the endurance races. So that's my call, is for them to try to figure out something. We need something. It's as opposed to just, running for 24 hours and just chasing the clock is all you're doing. So yeah, they need to do something. So figure it out. Again, let's give us tire limits or let's figure out yellows. Something just needs to get done. But yeah, we're only a couple weeks away from NIS. So I want to say I'm getting excited. Just, I don't know, just don't seem super excited for NASCAR this year. I don't know why.
Tire limits and yellow flag.
Yeah.
All right, Donnie Spiker, final thought.
Not too much this time around. I didn't race a whole lot last week post the show, and I don't think I haven't raced at all this week. But that announcement for the super late model, quote, NIS style got me excited. But then it got me thinking, if we get so many that I would like, I'll have to pick and choose, like we talked about. But hopefully it could work out. But I don't know. Excited for that. Excited for what they could bring us in the future. Hopefully they lean more IMSA as well, but not much else.
Don't overcommit. That's my ticket. Just pick a couple and try it out. William Westbrook, final thought.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat as Greg. Work has been so insane that I really haven't had time for much else lately. I want to go back to something we talked about last week, though, the Grid Finder Time Attack. We weren't sure when it started. It actually started last week. It runs for 2 weeks. The current round is GT3 running at Road America. You've got a few more days if you want to get in. Like I say, you could win iRacing credits, or a random person can win IMSA merch. Last time I checked, I was 10th, I think. But there's a couple of real high 8 and 9,000 iRacer guys. There's like a second above me. So don't think I'll be getting the iRacing credits, but it's a good chance to maybe win a prize and have a good time.
every time I do those time attacks, I walk away humbled, basically.
Yeah.
All right, my final thoughts. Having fun with the BMW M2. It's one of the most populated series on iRacing, day and night, guys. And even though it's a rookie series, there's a lot of heavy hitters in there. Like I said, I was racing a guy that was 8,600. And so having a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of people there. I'm fairly competitive, and I had a run from 11th to 2nd this week, and that felt pretty good, to come from dead last and almost get to the win. But feeling kind of cocky from that, and I think that cockiness is going to flow into NASCAR. I'm ready. Brad did mention that Winter NIS is at Talladega. Ooh, I won that last year. So maybe I'm going to do that tonight after the recording. I'm going to go try to win the Winter NIS. So with that, we'll see you on the track later. Okay, title ideas.
I think I got to go with the one about Max. Number 2, is it?
Max vacation time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, 2.
All right, 2 it is. That was easy. Good show, guys.
Yeah,
My
good show.
computer, holy cow. The screen went black during the show, and I would close it and lift it up, and it would come back. And eventually I kept doing it, and it wouldn't come back. So then I plugged in the television so I could actually see and finish the show. But I think my computer's toast.
What kind of is a laptop? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a
What
laptop.
kind?
HP Envy. It's probably 3 years old.
Surprised you don't have a MacBook, being a Apple guy.
Nope. But maybe I might be hunting for one because this looks fatal. The screen come up, but it's all jagged looking. It's all messed up.
Yeah, that's. Yeah,
I've been
eventually
super
that
gentle
cable goes
with it.
bad.
All right, good show, guys. I'm gonna bail. I'm gonna try to fix it.
You can only tug on it so much. Ducks are winning.